Good evening and welcome to Real Estate with Bimpe, the YouTube channel where you will be educated, you will be informed, and you're going to also get some entertainment. Today we're going to be talking about real estate setback FAQs. There are some frequently asked questions in the minds of real estate investors, and most of the times they don't get answers to these FAQs before they see it manifest, before they see it reflect in their everyday businesses. So today I'm going to be answering some of those FAQs that have been in your mind concerning real estate investment. You're welcome. The first thing I want to say is that setback applies to every kind of property as long as your property faces a road. As long as your property has a main gate that goes out, that front has a setback. There is something called setback. There's also something called airspace. Setback is the space between your fence and the main road, or the water, or the power line. Whatever it is that is in front of you, setback is the minimum required space between your fence, not your house, your fence and that property and that thing that is in front of your house. That is what is called setback. Meanwhile, airspace is the space that is around your building, because ideally there should be a space between your house and the fence to provide airing for your house and the house beside it. That is airspace. Now, that airspace, we are not often caught in the web of the law for infringement because they hardly have to come into our property. But that setback, it becomes an issue when there are things like they want to expand the road. I saw something that happened recently, and it has happened all the time, is why I'm talking about this thing. There are different kinds of roads. There's street, there's highway, there's expressway. What is required on your street is different from what is required on the highway. And what is required as setback for residential property is different from what is required for commercial property. It's different from what is required for industrial property. You can have 3 meters. I saw one where it was as much as 60 meters. That was the required setback. That's why when you're on the express road, you will see some buildings that are far in. They moved very far. It's not because they didn't have use for the land. They left that space because it's required setback and because they know government can place a demand on it, and there's nothing they are going to do at the point at which government decides to place a demand for that setback. So they leave it. So the class into which your real estate falls and what is the location that is building setback against will determine the size of the setback, because the setback for waterways is different from the setback for road. It's different from the setback for ocean. Now, you as the real estate owner, you don't determine the class into which your real estate falls, whether residential or commercial. It is the government. Fine, when it is time to assess your taxes and they come and they see 8 flats in the compound, they will call it commercial residential, and they will issue you land use tax or tenement rates according to that standard. But when it is time to take setback, it is what is in their records for that region or for that premises. That is how they are going to determine what setback you are under obligation to leave. So if you buy from an estate and the estate has allocation for shopping complex, has for houses, has for businesses, and you take the one that is for businesses, you build residential premises on it. By the time, for whatever reason, they need to use the setback, they will use the calculation of the one for commercial to determine the setback, even though what you built was residential. Those are part of the issues that come up when government is acquiring property or when government is demolishing. So I saw a demolition recently. Government is expanding some roads. They are now demolishing some portions of the existing structures around. You know, government, they will only demolish the size they need. The rest, they are going to leave. So I now asked, I said, these portions that they demolished, are they going to get compensation for it? I need people to think about it. Here's why. The structures, first of all, are commercial structures, not residential. So their setback is predetermined according to commercial standards. It's not on a street, it's on a major road. So their setback would also be a bit more than if it was on a street. But they didn't leave any of this setback. So help me to ask, by the time the government comes to calculate all this and takes the statutory setback, is there going to be anything left that will be officially a part of the owner's real estate? There's likely going to be nothing left when you are buying, when you are building. So imagine that landowners or omonile, they have a portion of land, and in that region government has earmarked it for industrial. They now sell you half plot in front. You will be happy that you bought half plot in front. You will not know that the entire half plot that they sold to you is set back. So technically it's acquisition because it is set back. So the day government comes and maybe the setback statutorily for that area is 25 meters, please, what is left inside the half plot that they sold for you? So before we begin to say, okay, things are done arbitrarily, we should ask questions. Also, don't forget, please, this is a takeaway that you should not forget. If government is going to pay compensation on any property that it takes over, on any real estate, it is only going to pay you for improvement on the real estate. It's never going to pay you for vacant land. Rarely does government pay for vacant land, especially when it is in public interest. Maybe they want to construct road, or they want to build hospital or police station or something like that. Rarely will the government ever pay you compensation for vacant land. They will pay you compensation for improvement on the land, and that compensation, there's a way it's calculated. It's not for you to produce your building cost and for you to bring your QS and your architects come and defend it. That is not how they will determine what they are going to pay you. What they are going to pay you will be determined by their own calculations. There are specific calculations that they use to determine what they are going to pay you, and that's what they are going to use to determine what you are going to get at the end of the day. So when you are thinking of acquiring property, ask questions about setback. If you see a power line in front of it, for example, the size of the power line will determine the setback required. If the power line is 330 kVA, the setback for it is nothing less than 25 meters, and there's a way it's calculated. But if it's less, the setback might be less. So ask questions. What's the setback for this area? If you see water in front of it and it is a waterway, it's a canal has setback. If there's a canal in front, it also has setback. Ask questions. Ask the right professionals the right questions so that you can be secure. I still hold that buying real estate in Nigeria is very lucrative business. If you got any value from this video, please hit the like button. It helps the algorithms to know that they should keep it going. Meanwhile, if you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you know when next a video is uploaded. Thank you and bye-bye.